Welcome to For the Love of Lincoln County, a podcast where we bring you everything on leadership, entrepreneurship, and community impact. Presented by the Lincoln County Chamber of Commerce. I'm your host, Jamie Wright of Zappos Insurance. We're coming to you from right here in Newark, Ohio.
Whether you're a job seeker or a business with staffing needs, Ohio Means Jobs Lincoln County is here for you. Our center is fully equipped and expertly staffed to help you with your employment and workforce needs. Stop in and see us at 998 East Main Street in Newark or call us at 740-670-8700.
Welcome to For the Love of Lincoln County, a podcast on leadership, entrepreneurship, and community impact. I am Jamie Wright with Zappos Insurance, and today I have the beautiful, wonderful, talented, funny, and weird Janice LoRaso. So she is the executive director of The Works, the Ohio Center for History, Art, and Technology. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for being here.
What a nice introduction.
Yeah, so that's my thing. Everybody says that. And they're like, oh my gosh, I should come here all the time just to get introduced. But no, I'm very serious when I say that. Because today's topic is understanding and developing organizational culture. And I just want to let you know that I wanted to do this topic from like the inception of this show. Fun. I thought, man, this is going to be a great topic for the show. Everybody's going to get, excited about this. You were handpicked.
Wow.
To talk about this topic. So no pressure.
Yes.
No pressure
not at all
whatsoever. So before we get into that, I want you to tell everybody a little bit about The Works, what you guys are, what you do. If you haven't been, you need to go.
Yes.
My favorite, and I'll let you talk, but my favorite part is the planetarium. Like, who doesn't like a good planetarium? Did you ever watch Friends?
No.
Oh,
I didn't.
Man. There's a part where Ross takes Rachel to the planetarium. And he like tries to set the mood and he turns on the speaker system and it's like, from the beginning of time. It was hilarious. Hilarious. So anyway, tell me about The Works.
Okay. So, we're 25 years old and we're a cool mashup of history, art, and technology.
Yes.
We have a fabulous art gallery. We have the fabulous Side Dome Planetarium that you mentioned.
Yep.
A working hot shop, so we blow glass every day and you can do a hands-on experience to blow glass. We have tons of amazing programming. We have drop-in programming 2 days a week for our preschool audiences. We've got school tours. We have a fabulous campus, new restaurant, Snapshot Social on our campus.
Yeah.
History. It's so fun. It's vibrant, right in the heart of downtown Newark. And it's a joy. It's a privilege to work there.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
And I like how you said it's a cool mashup. It really is a cool place to be. It's super cool. You have to check it out. So this is our first time actually meeting in person.
Yes.
And I like to tell everybody that, a little bit of background about our relationship. So, but I did have the privilege of meeting you via Zoom last week. And that was like the most fun 15 minutes of my day. You are sunshine and light. I told you that when you walked in. I gave you a big hug. And we were in the middle of this conversation and she's just full of like wonderment and knowledge. And she goes, I'm just really a weirdo, Jamie. And I laughed so hard because I thought, me too, right? We're just wonderfully weird and I love it so much. And speaking of like, let's talk about the ladies here because in our Zoom, you had the boxing nun.
Yes.
And I absolutely adored it. So I said, please bring some figures.
Yes. So I brought Flora, Fauna, and Merryweather,
the
fairy godmothers from Sleeping Beauty, my favorite movie. And I have kind of a joke. It's been a long-standing joke since I worked at Disney that I have a magic wand. So I had to bring the ladies with the wands. The boxing nun is how my husband kind of wooed me, but that's his shtick. So I left her at the museum.
I love it. It's so fun. It's so fun, right? And whimsical and weird. And I love it so much. So thanks for bringing them today.
Sure.
They're your cheerleaders.
Yes.
And my takeaway from that Zoom is, man, I would love working for her. I would love to work with her. And so I think that's why you were, handpicked for this topic because you, like I said, you are sunshine and light and you're perfect to speak about this topic. Now, I will let you know that in the process, I was told that you are the cruise director.
Yes.
So tell us about your nickname.
So, first of all, I'm a child of the 1970s. Mm-hmm. So I also binge watch old episodes of The Love Boat. You can get them for free on Pluto. Little plug there.
FYI.
And so we play a game sometimes where you get to make up your own title for yourself. So this started years ago. This is kind of like an icebreaker game for the staff retreat. And I just felt like that fit me because fun and a little weirdness, I think, can help people be less stressed and also just kind of enjoy each other. So then we bought a Cricut. So, I don't know how to use it, but the team knows how to use it. So one day I'd been off on a Friday and I came back and they had put cruise director on my office door and they were like, it's okay, it peels right off. And I said, I am so leaving it. But I just feel like I'm kind of the curator of their staff experience. Yeah. And that's where the culture comes into play. And that I believe that the leader of the organization sets the tone for the culture. And that if you're having fun together and do a little weird things, maybe share some food or something, then when the rough stuff hits you, you have more resilience because you know each other well. And this, it's hard. There's only 20 of us. So it's kind of an easy thing to do in a smaller organization is really be mindful of culture, but culture is a verb. Yeah. Like you have to work at it. It's a living, breathing organism and you have to nurture it. So it's planning fun things. We have a happiness team at the Works that helps me. So I'll say, hey, happiness team, we need to do X to just cheer everybody up. And sometimes it's like, let's get Chipotle for everybody, and just take a break, feed everybody's, their bellies and their mind by relaxing together. And that's how I got the nickname, the cruise director, and it's stuck. So, and now that it's on my door, it's never going away.
Oh my gosh, this is the greatest story. If you didn't write down happiness team, you need to write down happiness team. This is a good show for notes. It is. I mean, give yourself some credit too. Team of 20 is still a lot of people that you're leading too. And all of their experiences will go out and lead other people as well someday. Right. So that's a lot of people, Janice. 20 people. It's a lot of people. So I do want to just speak a little bit to your leadership. When we were talking, you said repeatedly that you're a servant leader. I'm a servant leader. So that's obviously something that's really, really important to you. So tell us just a little bit about your core values.
So, and I have my little cheat sheet because I really, I decided to bring this forth to the team as well. So I shared this with them every year, just a reminder of how we treat each other. And it is that every person has value and deserves civility, trust, and respect. Yeah. And I made my mantra this year. I set a new one every year, and it's make respect visible.
Oh, write that down. I think that's really good. Make respect visible. I have it down here actually, and I'm really happy that you're talking to it.
Right. And so I feel like if you are at your job and you're pouring, for people that work in a nonprofit, we do everything. Right. And everybody does everything. Right. And if you're pouring your soul and your passion into your job, you really want those around you to treat you with mutual respect. And people accomplish much more when they're inspired by the others around them. Yeah. So I really want to be a tenacious mentor. That's really important to me, is that it may take 2 or 3 conversations to change a behavior or improve something, but you can't give up. Right. Because humans develop in different ways. Some of us are visual learners, others are auditory. Some people want to have it on a piece of paper. So many members on my team are digital. I'm so analog. I like my little book and my notes.
I have all my notes too. I'm with you. I'm with you, sister.
And listening. I think you want your leader or your teammates to listen and hear you. Yeah. And also, it's okay. We can take a chance on something. I've thought that the most amazing programs would just be like super blockbuster hits and then crickets. And yes, that's okay. Not everything's going to be a home run and you can fail, but those around you lift you up when that happens. So, and we also lovingly hold ourselves and others accountable for their actions and their commitments. And I think kind of that all packaged into the idea that my job, I'm kind of like the guy behind the curtain in The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
And I really want my team to be successful, for them to feel encouraged and rewarded by thank yous and handwritten notes. And just items like that just keep people going.
Yeah. We'll talk to that too. Actually, that's one of my questions for you as well. We'll dive in there. That's so good. That's so good. Again, I hope everybody's taking notes. I mean, and not only can like somebody that's an employer use this stuff, but employees can use this stuff as well. You can, I mean, you breathe the culture, right? And so you're living it every day and you're sharing it with other people. So this stuff is really, really important. So I'm just going to dive into a couple questions that I have for you. What do you think is the most important part of a company's culture? And this could just generally speaking.
I think it needs to be credible and unique and really authentic. I think authenticity is the most important piece. Is, you may hear me tell a story about us at the works playing games or other things that are unique to us. But I think each organization, each employee really needs to take back what works in their workplace. And I think you can start by asking questions. When I told you about making respect visible, we get a handout Post-its to everybody. Sometimes they groan because they're like, oh no, it's Post-it day. But that
means they're going to have to dive into their emotions.
Yes. And then share
great.
it out.
That's great.
So, I said to them, what does it mean to make respect visible? Let's talk about this.
Yes.
And so we talk it out and they write it on the Post-its and we share. And then we make a poster and then everybody has it at their desk. And so I think it's things like just being really authentic to the people and understanding your people and I'll go back to authenticity because nobody really enjoys something that they feel like they're forced to do. So if you've ever watched children play, they play with wild abandon. And as we get to adults, we're a little bit more reserved. We don't want to embarrass ourselves or look silly or trip and fall down. But so I think that's just it. Have team meetings. And if you have a big team, have smaller team meetings and have people talk about what a healthy workplace culture means to them. Yeah. But it really needs to come from your heart.
Oh, that's so deep. Oh. No, I love it so much because I was just going to say, I mean, how do you coach somebody on authenticity? How do you help somebody with their authenticity? And I think that the Post-it note thing is a perfect, tangible experience for somebody to be authentic and to actually, I mean, talking about your emotions is a whole nother thing, but you can write them down at least. So I love that idea. You talked a little bit about in that too, how to make that credible, which, I guess the Post-it thing would be a credible way to make it authentic. Is that what you mean by credible?
Yes. And I think too, you maybe have to start with your own personal values and kind of evaluate them first before you can really evaluate the cultural and the institution's values. And, they don't always align and it's okay. Yeah. Sometimes people make choices to leave and change employers. But having the value system and really talking about what your values mean. So this takes a lot of work. You have to work at it all the time. Yeah. You can't just say, okay, we're done. Culture's done and we're good.
Oh man, this is so up my alley. Okay. So moving on to question number 2 then. What qualities should people look for in a company culture? We were just kind of talking about this. You were talking about core values. You were talking about reward system. I think that the biggest one for me is the communication piece. I mean, that's got to be difficult for 20 people.
Right. And it's not perfect. Right. We have to keep working on it.
Right.
So we have to stop. And what I said before about lovingly hold ourselves accountable. When someone isn't communicating well, you just have to have in the culture to be able to say, can we stop for a minute? This isn't coming through well, or I think maybe you're having trouble verbalizing something. Can I help you? Yeah. So you really, kind of feel like a constant coach too, because the things we have to learn, not everybody comes with the same skill set or the same set of experiences. I had, when I worked at Walt Disney, I had the great experience to take a lot of professional development. And that's not the case at a nonprofit. You don't have, a chart of classes that you can just go over to the studio and take a class. Right. So trying to share that, share that experience with others.
I love it. I mean, like from what I'm hearing, like your leadership, I mean, how do you hold yourself as far as your emotional quotient? Like just listening to you speak, obviously it's pretty high. That's something that I'm sure that you have worked on throughout your career.
Right. Yes.
Because all of this translates so well into culture. And just from having this brief conversation, I'm learning that this type of culture that you're creating, that you are recognizing is very emotional.
Yes.
It's a lot of emotional work. It's not necessarily a strategic planning and analytics.
Right.
It's that deep emotional personalized growth piece too.
And I think it's unique to me because I feel like that comes from my parents and how I was raised.
Yeah.
And I think when I was telling you before about going to LA, there's so many times I felt so out of place because I was like, wow, where's your manners? Like who?
Right. We're from the Midwest.
Yes. And you act like you were raised by wolves.
Yeah.
So I think, and it's not, and my style may not appeal to everybody as well, but I feel like listening, when I sit and deeply listen to them, I get them, I get their authenticity.
Yeah.
And I get them. And sometimes I do have to challenge and say, wait a minute, we need to stop. And when I go home, I have to set it down.
Yeah.
I do, because I do lead with my heart.
Yeah.
And
girl. Oh, I feel it so much. Number 3, my third question, in your opinion, what is the employer's or director's role in fostering the positive company culture? And you kind of touched on that a little bit, but dive a little bit deeper into that for me.
Well, I think as the leader of the organization, it's your responsibility to nurture a culture and to make it a verb, do it, act it, lead by demonstrating the behavior you want to see in your team and
walk the walk.
And sometimes, and when you're not feeling it, just like give yourself some grace and then get back to it. So, because there are days where I'm like, oh man.
Yeah.
Like with the storm last week, we were going to have a big private gallery opening. And I'm like, I don't want to cancel it, but I don't want to put everybody in harm's way in the roads. So, and then I was like, whew, we got a little break from all this pressure.
Yeah.
So that's too, like, and my team is so funny, about we have universal leave. So you can take it a sick day, you can take it off. I'm like, it's important to be away from the work as important it is for you to be here. Because by taking a break, you can come back and be refreshed.
Yeah.
Like not using your time off, that's so old school and don't do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you need to recharge your batteries. You need to have a day off from being
all the things.
Yeah, all the things. Because you're doing all the other things too. If you're parenting or taking care of a spouse or your parents, sometimes you just have to say, whoa.
Yeah.
This is my day.
Janice, I might cry. Like you're tugging on my heartstrings today, girl. Oh, that's so good. And I say that because I think a lot of us are feeling so much pressure right now. And I think this validates a lot of the things that we're feeling. We were just talking a little bit ago, like the season of life that everybody's in. It's all relative, of course, but there's a lot of pressure that comes with new season and new challenges. And so, to hear that is a validation. And I think it's really important for people to understand that too. I was reading on a forum today about how hard, people in sales are working right now and how challenging it is. And I wanted to jump in and say, it's okay. It's okay that you're feeling like this.
Right.
But
yeah, because gosh, we're still in the pandemic. Yeah. It's not over, but that really changed everything. And I just noticed so many people being unkind and, it's funny because, I drive my older son to school and the car line and I'm always like, stop and then wave somebody through. And they're like, why do you do I could have, and I'm like, no, listen, this is what we do. Yeah. We let the other driver go or we move over lanes and I feel like a little bit of that got lost.
Yeah.
And so I'm just bring that back. And then we don't have to do it all. And it took me a long time to figure that out because boy, when I was a young mom when my kids were younger, I was like, oh no, I have to do this. They have to play sports and they have to blah, blah, blah. And I have to volunteer.
Yeah. Pressure.
And then I'm like, wait a minute. If I say no, that gives somebody else a chance to say yes.
Yeah.
So you've got to, it's hard, but it's part of being then happy at work too.
Yeah.
By not having, when you carry around all these loads, you have to set something down.
I love it. Well, and two, what you were talking about, letting people go in the lane. I mean, you don't know what kind of response that person is going to have for that. And then, hopefully your goal is for them to pay it forward, right?
Right.
So continue to let people in the lane. That's our takeaway from that question. Okay. So number 4, what practices can a company undertake to ensure continued success of a culture? I think we might have hit this one a couple different times too, but just give us some takeaways of just what you do to ensure that that's a continued success.
I think we stop and talk about it.
Yeah.
And stop and talk about things, unhealthy things, things. I mean, sometimes we can be like a group of siblings and be all irritated with each other. And then you just have to stop and take a minute and reset.
Yeah.
I always say, okay, we're going to stop. We're going to turn over a clean sheet of paper and just move forward. And so also letting things go. Don't hold on to something that might happen in the workplace that was negative. Give the other person some grace because, again, they hopefully will pay that forward.
Right.
And give yourself a break too. But you have to, it's constant work at it and constant things like writing your staff notes when something has gone well, letting them go home if they're exhausted, like just, I guess, knowing them and what helps them reduce their stress in the workplace is huge. And it's definitely hard with, say you had 50 employees. So maybe you need a team of people that help you. And I don't mean like, it's not an HR function. It's just a whole, it's a spirit. Yeah. The happiness team.
Oh, I love it. I love it. The happiness team is definitely a takeaway.
Yeah.
I mean,
you can't have mine though.
Okay. Not just for a little bit.
Yeah.
I will say in that question, I have been under leadership where there is friction in the workplace and, that person in the leadership would say, well, you need to handle it amongst yourselves. And I think that was the danger zone, because we didn't talk about it. And then it bubbles, right?
Yes.
And so that's my example. That's my next question. What examples can you give us of poor organizational culture that you were able to learn from? You don't have to be specific, but like, that one about, hey, you two work it out amongst yourselves. I gotta go.
Right. Yes, I think, and so one of my first career opportunities was in an amazing experience, but the culture was really unhealthy.
Yeah.
And I was just like, and I think I mentioned to you, people raised their voices at each other. They threw things at each other. Like I was like, this is a cartoon. And it was in Los Angeles. So to me, being from Ohio, it did feel like a cartoon. And then I really went, wait, I don't want this. This isn't healthy.
Yeah.
And I think that you have to, one, the thing about you two work it out yourselves, sometimes you do have to take the time to sit down with 2 staff members and facilitate a conversation and help them talk it out. And I'll do that if I need to. I've tried to work really hard on our culture so that you would be like, oh, hey, Janice, can we talk? This feels weird. But that doesn't work, but you can't ignore it.
Right. Oh yeah, for sure. So my last question, well, this is the last numbered question anyway. Describe the culture at the works in 3 words or less.
Okay. Work in progress.
Oh, I love it.
You knew I was going to say that, right?
I love it.
Yes.
I mean, I think that's just important. I mean, for any company. I mean, you could sit here and describe some adjectives for me, but I think that that's perfect.
Yeah. That feels authentic to me, is that it's not perfect. Yeah. It's ours and we own it. And we work at it, we groom it, we change it, we try to make sure it's resilient. And it's kind of hard to describe because it's a feeling. And and you probably, people experience this when you walk into a room, you can tell if the temperature's off.
Yep.
And so that's when I become the weirdness.
Yeah.
And I think by doing something like making a joke, we're making tons of office jokes right now. The office jokes.
The office
jokes. And, lightening the mood and then saying, okay, we're past that. Now let's get down to work.
Well, one of my next line items here was, how do you use your humor? I mean, obviously, like, this is important. It lightens the mood.
Mm-hmm. Tell a lot of jokes. Mm-hmm. Tell a lot of dad jokes. Done all kinds of things. I like to, when the school bus comes to the works, I like to yell bus, like just,
Yes.
And I think it's just my natural goofiness that, some people would be like, oh,
right.
But that's why I don't work in a corporate setting.
Right.
I work in a place where I can talk to kids and ask them how their day is and what they liked at the works. And play with puppets and get the rest of the team to do something silly. And it makes us happy. And I think hopefully when people come and experience the works, they can see that the team's having fun and we love being there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, that's the whole vibe.
Right.
I love it. So we talked a little bit about this. Examples of good culture building items. These are the tangible takeaways. And you mentioned this briefly, but I want to circle back. You said, let's get Chipotle. And then during our call, you said, we eat as a family. Mm-hmm. I was blown away by that. Like, that seems so simple, but it was like, wow, that's really important.
Yeah, sitting around the table and having a meal and talking, and sometimes we'll play a game or do something creative, but, it just builds that family atmosphere. And, when you break bread with somebody, it's an experience.
Yeah.
And so we, doing small, you don't have to spend a lot of money on employee
rewards.
Yeah. You could do a handwritten note, goes a long way. We had a former employee had a tradition of buying everybody a scratch off at Christmas, and I've continued that. And so that's so fun because at Christmas they're like, "Hey, thanks, I won $2." Yeah. But just
until somebody hits the big numbers, and then they're going to say, "Hey,
I know, hey, I quit," and then I'm like, "I'll stop doing that."
Not for $1 scratch offs,
right? But I do think, I think that's it, and also listen to your team. What do they? A lot of my team members drink coffee. So, going out or saying, hey, I'll buy your coffee run, or want to sit down and go to lunch, or how you feeling today,
Yeah. And then gratitude.
Yes. Gratitude's I think the number one is because if you feel appreciated and somebody, all you have to do is say thank you. Mm-hmm. Like, thanks for doing that, or that idea was amazing, or you rock. Mm-hmm. Just the way you greeted me today, like, just being that engaging, let's just try to lighten everything up and have a little fun.
Well, I selfishly wanted a hug, but thank you. And then, so my last kind of question is, and you kind of touched on this too a little bit, but again, let's be specific for our note takers out there. How do you recover after negativity?
2 different ways. Mm-hmm. One is take a moment to soak in it, let it feel, and then let it go. And then the other times, if it was hurtful or something, go talk to somebody that you're close to.
Yeah.
And just kind of talk it out so that you don't carry it around and spread it.
Yeah.
Because negativity is contagious, right? And try to do something, have your go-to people. I definitely have those in my life who I'm like, I'm not feeling, and even it's just a text, like it's, text one of my friends and say, ooh, something icky happened today. Can you talk? And then give yourself grace, maybe stomp your feet. I don't know. You could, but do something to get it out.
Oh yeah. That's very important, I think, too. And I often say somebody that you trust. And I say somebody that trusts in God, that's really important for me too. But I totally agree with that. Don't hold it in. Don't let it fester. But in terms of company, something that happens negatively at the work workplace. Is there something that you do, or do you like to have those conversations as well? I mean, if there's something that happens negatively at work, is there a go-to method that you use, or do you take this and translate that over?
So I think if something negatively happens at work, we try to stop and talk about it.
Yeah.
And then decide, is this an action item or is this a mistake? Because a lot of misunderstandings in the workplace are just that. It's a misunderstanding. And go back and say, did you really mean that? Or I think just being confident in communicating and asking questions, which isn't easy. Sometimes even I have to coach myself a little bit about, okay, how, think through, go to your trusted person, and then figure out how to take action.
Yeah.
And sometimes it takes a minute. Sometimes it might take, I always say I need to soak on it overnight, like think about it and then work on it.
And then if you don't get any sleep because you have a 3-year-old, then take another night to sleep on it, right? Oh, goodness. Well, talk to us about, I know that you brought the Zappos book.
Yes.
And I was going to ask, I ask everybody too, what books are you reading? What do you recommend? So talk to us a little bit about this.
So the Zappos, it's called the Zappos Experience. And I consider myself a student of culture. So this is one of my favorite books because it really spoke to me, because it is authentically unique to Zappos. About 8 years ago, I had the opportunity to go traveling. My husband was going on a business trip, and you can actually go on a tour of Zappos and see, and it's crazy. I mean, they have a nap room.
Yeah, that's amazing.
They have a ball pit in HR. I mean, they're crazy.
Yeah.
We don't have any of that at the works. Don't worry.
Not yet.
We have rock and sock'em robots. But what I really liked about it is, and the subtitle is "Delivering Happiness Can Help Inspire the Way Your Business." Or inspire the why of your business, excuse me. And so they have a whole, it's 5 principles to inspire, engage, and wow. And it is really, I mean, this is kind of my culture Bible, because this is where culture as a verb comes from, and lots of amazing quotes. I love this. I particularly wrote down a quote to read to you, is about the quality of work life. Coming together is a beginning, keeping together is progress, and working together is success. And that was Henry Ford. And so that's kind of the whole, and this is a great book if you want to understand how to improve core values or your own personal core values. The other book I'm reading right now by Jim Mahoney is called To Lead is to Teach, and it's fantastic. He spoke at our Rotary Club about a month ago, and then they had the books for sale, and I went up and bought one, and there's a group of us that are going to read it together.
Oh, I love it.
And really work on it. So,
To Lead is to Teach.
Yes.
Write that down. I am too.
Yes.
Before I let you go, I like to ask some of my guests, and I didn't tell you I was going to ask you this.
Yes.
What is your biggest life hack? Now, mine's, to give you some perspective, mine is the Kroger Click List app.
I have never done that.
Oh, what? It saves 2 hours of my life every week.
Gosh, life hack. Post-it notes.
Okay.
Post-it notes. They're everywhere.
That's awesome.
I have a Post-it note in my truck right now that says, "Go buy dog food."
Okay. You know what's so funny about that is that I have an iPhone. So like every 5 minutes, I'll be like, "Hey Siri, set a reminder." Like every 5 minutes. I probably have 5 reminders. Now, if I actually go through them and get them done, that's a whole nother Oprah show. But no, I like it. I still use Posties too. I'm
just simple girl.
I love it.
I like to write everything down, carry it all around, put them in my car. I do have a funny story.
Yeah, please.
So I don't know. My youngest son was little, and he was in swimming lessons at the Y. And so I had Post-it notes. We also used to play an alphabet game in the car. So there are Post-it notes all over the dash of my car. And there was a very similar car, exact same make, model, and color, also had Post-it notes on their thing. And I was standing outside going, click, click. Why isn't my car opening?
It wasn't your car.
It wasn't my car.
Oh no.
But they had Post-its too.
That's
so
crazy.
I was like, I need to meet you. We could be friends.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm like crying about that a little bit. Like that would happen to you. That's so great. Well, is there anything that I missed? Did we cover it all?
Do you feel like we did? Did it make sense?
Yeah, it was amazing.
Are you sure?
Yes.
I feel so.
It was so good.
I feel so, yeah, okay.
I think that the biggest takeaway that I have had from just having this conversation with you is that culture is related to our emotions, you know, and it's not necessarily just in the workplace. That's in our home life and how we build our relationships with other people. I mean, it's an emotional, it's a verb. And so that was my biggest takeaway. So that was awesome. Well, Janice, thank you so much.
Thank you
for taking the time to be with me today. Thanks. I've had so much fun. Thank you for bringing the ladies. That was amazing. I hope that they've contributed as much as it did for me. Thank you guys for joining us today. Join us next month. We're going to have Rachel Williamson, the owner of Running Great Stores, to talk about spring cleaning tips. And we're talking about business spring cleaning. So until next time, stay safe.